beginning to wonder what was more exceptional. When Stephen Ross sat down with Joe Philbin across the table and said, well, that's my man, after listening to Joe. Or was he more excited when he heard McDaniel say things like that? Mike, how would you face your team after a small, short, hopefully losing streak? And he says something like that. And Stephen Ross says, this is the guy. Get the contract. Hey, Garfunkel, get in here with the contracts.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Another week flying by. A Thursday edition of the program. We'll have the trivia challenge coming up with one Dave Gurggles Gergely. That's happening shortly here. I'm Jeff DeForest. That is Mike Lubie Lubitz, and it sounds like a fussy Luca Panici Lubitz in the background there. So hopefully things will go away. Okay. What do you have? The baby on the floor?
He's just awake.
Oh, okay.
He's actually not being bad. He's just wide awake, which is very scary because he's not one to occupy himself just yet.
He can occupy himself with trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with me.
There you go.
These picks are just abysmal at best. I was influenced yesterday. You should never let anybody else influence you into any kind of gambling endeavor. Whatever your feeling is, go the other way. That's. I mean, the Cleveland Cavaliers last night. Lubie, can you imagine this? Scoops Golden comes on the show. Scoop's great, man. He knows everything. There is no detail. You could throw almost anything about the NBA, historically, currently, futuristically, and Scoop usually has a very detailed and well thought out answer. So he tells us yesterday on the show, Lubie, and hopefully not many of us and you people out there reacted as I did, thinking immediately that, wow, if Cleveland's going to rest everybody. We all saw what happened to them when they had the injuries last year against the Indiana Pacers. Correct? I mean, here was a team that just had annihilated the Miami Heat. They won the 4 games by, I think, a combined margin of 500 points. And so they're sitting, and in the next series, they didn't have Mitchell, they didn't have Garland, they didn't have Mobley. And they get blown out by the Indiana Pacers. It turned out to be a pretty good and hotly competitive team until Halliburton got hurt. But they did manage to press Oklahoma City to a 7th game before Oklahoma City, a dominant team out of the West, and the darlings of the West all season long, ended up finally prevailing and winning their championship. But Cleveland, last night, after winning or losing by 2 points in double overtime on Monday night, now you're thinking, what else is going against the Cleveland Cavaliers? Is South Beach still a factor, or does nobody go there anymore of any distinction?
I mean, I'm sure people venture there, but I don't think, like, if you're playing the Heat that on a weekday night, that's something that's going to stop players from playing up to their abilities.
Remember, that was the thing. You would have Barry Jackson hiding in the weeds outside of bed and bench. He'd say, Iverson just left, 7 a.m. He's going straight to the shoot-around, and then he's going to bed to try and catch a couple of wings before he goes out there and plays. And he's going to have another one of his 6 for 27 nights, put up a lot of points, and watch the 76ers go down in flames at the Miami Heat's home arena. But last night, so we find out nobody's playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The line moved from 5.5 to 6. And I naturally go on my gambling show there, Bury Your Bookie, or one of actually, I was on a couple of them yesterday. We have another one on Bleacher Brothers that you can catch on Wednesday, Break the Bank. And we accomplished neither. Our bookie is dancing in the streets. He's ordering a new Rolls Royce for himself. And the bank, I mean, they may as well take a couple of days off because they're flush with cash after our recommendation that you go ahead and lay the 6 points with the Miami Heat, thinking that they were going to take a little element of pride in this one. And in spite of the fact that Bam Adebayo is going to be sitting out again, Tyler Hero is yet to suit up for the Heat. They're 7-4. Eric Spoelstra already coach of the year to do what he's doing with this lineup, in spite of what's going on, in Detroit, where they've now won 8 in a row. And that was another example of how you should never follow logic if you're gambling. All logic must be tossed to the wind. Because what happens? Fourth quarter, 37-19 Cavaliers in the fourth quarter.
They were up. Weren't they leading? Yeah, they were leading going into the fourth. I'm like, all right, well, they should pull away, win this one easy. Because the Cavs weren't playing anyone. Again, they didn't have him in Hero, but the Cavs didn't have anyone. Like, the Heat are so weird in those games. Like, they play some of their worst games when other teams are missing their best players.
They're not alone, though.
Yeah, I guess a lot of teams do that.
How about this one, Louis? Detroit, their entire starting lineup is out last night.
Oh, Jesus.
That was, this was load management or toad management, whatever you want to call it. But Detroit, their entire starting lineup is banged up, including Cade Cunningham and everybody else that had gotten them off. They were on a 7-game winning streak going into last night's game against the Chicago Bulls, who have been a pleasant surprise, I'm sure, to their fans because they got off to a winning start. And so what happens without any of their starters playing? Detroit 124, Chicago 113. Without the essence of their lineup, Cavaliers 130, Heat 116. But we've talked about this a lot. This is one of the reasons. I think you could put this in as reason number 2 why gamblers die with their mouths wide open. And they're just sitting there going, because the first reason, of course, and we believe this to be true. I don't know if anybody's had. Have you? No, you've never had a near-death experience, have you, Louis? Where your life kind of flashed in front of you. I've come close a couple of times. Yeah, where you're thinking, "Whoa, this is it. I'm about to eat it," and I believe this that before you take your final breath, you see in big white lights the amount of money that you've lost lifetime gambling. And it just forces you into a situation where even though you can barely breathe, period, all of a sudden you're like, ah, ah. But the other would be these impossible situations where you're looking at a circumstance. It's inconceivable that not only, will the team not cover the spread, but that they could lose the game outright. Are you kidding me?
By double digits? The Cavs didn't even have enough guys to get that.
Score 130 points against the Miami Heat. I know the Heat haven't been depending on an element of defensive prowess, although Scoop was saying that in spite of the fact they're giving up a lot of points, they're not playing terrible defense. It's just that they increased, I guess, the tempo of the game, so there are more points being scored against them. Is that a logical explanation, Louis?
You have more possessions, you're scoring more, they're going to have more opportunities to score. Even if you're stopping them more times than they're scoring, they're still going to get more opportunities. So their score can go up, but your defensive efficiency can still be highly rated or can be low, whatever you want to call it.
Humiliated. That's where we're at right now, Lubie.
That was weird. Yeah, your plays. That's
my plays are the worst.
Known. I should have known. Defo must have picked the Heat because the Heat were cruising, playing good ball, and again the Cavs were playing no one.
Nobody. They have nobody in the game. My God, Jared Allen had 30 points. So that was the leading scorer for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Allen, a legitimate player, that's part of their starting lineup, but no Mitchell, no Garland, no Mobley, and no dice, Lubie. No dice. These gods of gambling are particularly cruel. Unless you have to get in tune with them somehow. I as soon as I let that pick leave my lips, I'm thinking, watch this, the Heat will get destroyed. And literally, they're outscored 37-19. An unbelievable, what is that? That's 18 points they lose the fourth quarter by to a team that has nobody in the lineup. And the same thing, I guess, Detroit and Chicago. Not a single starter in the lineup for Detroit, and they blow out. They're not that good to blow out Chicago at that point, but they do it 124-113. Speaking of blowouts, that was the MO of the NBA last night. Oklahoma City, how about this one, Louie? Oklahoma City 121, Lakers 92. People have been remarking how great it is that the Lakers are able to get off to this hot start. I was even starting to think that J.J. Redick was a credible coach. They're coming off a used car lot to just take over the reins of the Los Angeles Lakers, and they get blown out. So what is that? That's nearly 30 points, 29 points.
Yep.
That they lose by. Atlanta 133, Sacramento 100. I guess you expect. Well, when is Sacramento ever going to be good again? Do they have any chance, Libby?
No, I mean the trading away of De'Aaron Fox and also to trade Halliburton and him become what he became sort of signals that who knows when. How
long can the Wizards suck too? That's another one.
I don't know.
You have to go back to Gene Shue when they were the Bullets the last time when they had Earl the Pearl Monroe. Was that it? Is the curse of trading away the Pearl to the New York Knicks?
Possibly. I mean, they had Wall and Beal. They had 1 year where they were very interesting, got to a decent playoff run, and then it just fell apart because both those guys couldn't stay healthy. They draft high every year. They just draft the wrong guys high every year.
How can you stink that long? I mean, with as you said, lottery picks every year, 10 straight losses for the Washington Wizards. Oklahoma City's won 4 in a row after their lone loss. They're sitting there with just one loss on the board. They're the best in the NBA right now. Denver Nuggets have won 6 in a row, and they're now 9-2.
Yep.
So it does appear that the teams in the West once again hold the edge.
Oh yeah,
over whatever it is that's coming out of the East, which is garbage, Lubie. Garbage.
Look at the Knicks. The Knicks were on a 5-game win streak. Play a Magic team that's sort of struggling and get dominated the entire game last night.
Demolished. That was a good word. They got demolished last night. All right, so that was the NBA, but I don't know that it's any shocker when this kind of stuff happens. Heat were up 69-66 at the half. What kind of scores are these? 69-66 at halftime, Lubie. I mean, go back. We thought this was enjoyable basketball. I know it was rough.
Yeah.
When you had Heat Knicks in the 90s. The score, even if you watch that thing, the Michael Jordan thing, The Last Dance, look at the scores of those games.
Oh, no, it's horrendous. The 80s?
It'd be like 79-76. Oh, no, hard-fought victory there. Jordan had 23. You're like, what the hell? Compared to today, it can't just be the evolution of the three-point shot that's triggering his scoring. Are they playing zero defense whatsoever? Calling games tighter. Look, they used to let Bill Laimbeer literally body slams. He picks up Larry Bird, puts him in an airplane spin, drops him to his knee, and it looked like a movie had borrowed from Bruno Sammartino. And no fouls are called. Nothing. You had Rick Mahorn. I mean, imagine this. This guy's barreling into people on picks. No calls whatsoever.
Yeah.
Rodman, you think Rodman wouldn't have fouled out of every game if they were calling it like they do today?
No way.
Holy crap. Even John Sally would have been fouling out. And I don't know that he was particularly fond of playing any defense. I'm not sure. But anyway, evolution of the game has changed completely. 69-66 at halftime. Heat go down and give up almost 40 points in the fourth quarter to a team of scrubs. And that was the highlight of my betting extravaganza last night. So I've lost 3 straight picks there on that one show. And I managed to go 0-5 on the other the previous week. And I'm not happy with anything that I selected. Because, I mean, do you get punchy, Lubie? Where you start to think it's the old thing at the track where you just go and you bet like $2 to show on Secretariat, thinking, I just need to cash a ticket. I need to go to the window and have the physical experience to regain my confidence. It's kind of like after you've been in a long-term relationship and then you've been out of it for a long time and now you're coming out on like first date. You just need to get one under your belt.
Yes.
Just to see how do I behave? How do I feel? Am I nervous when I get out of the car? What kind of stuff is going on here? All right, I took a little perusal of hockey. We'll get into that a little bit later on because we do have Dave Gurggles Gergely standing by to conduct the trivia challenge. And we will be with you past 9 o'clock today because 9:05 we're scheduled to talk to the great Ian Eagle. Going to join us here on the program, and that's always a lot of fun. We have football and basketball to discuss with Ian. And we'll have about 15 minutes there after the 9 o'clock hour where we can get into it with Ian Eagle. I don't know that that's enough time, Lubie, because he can't make it before 9 o'clock. That's his designated time for this show, and I don't blame him, man. The guy does a lot of traveling. He's very busy. I mean, that work schedule he has is incredible. And he's going to join us, though, at about 9:05 today. Meanwhile, we have Dave Gurggles Gergely. Looking great, Gurgs. I asked Gurgs, he's very modest about this. I asked him how much weight he lost because you obviously have been doing some diligent work in conjunction with that hip replacement. You look great. You're a trimmed-down version of Dave Gurggles Gergely. You must be feeling good.
Feeling good. It's been a little cold out here at the golf course. I worked Tuesday. It was 49 degrees when I got out here.
Oh, yeah?
Tuesday was Veterans Day. We had over 300 golfers too, so they came out in droves. So I'm the player assistant, so you find me out there talking to people, also filling in some divots along the way, raking traps, getting some fresh air. So it's been well. And matter of fact, we were talking about the track. I was there yesterday to see some friends, and we decided 5 of us to go in a 10 place and show parlay. So we put in $10 a piece, place and show. Right. So we ran it up to 400.
Woo!
And it was my pick. And I go to Churchill Downs and I look and I see Pratt picks up the mount on the 13. And between him and Michael Maker's got Santana on the 11. So I go to Pratt and we bet 208 win and place and show on Pratt. At 5-1, he run 4th. And Santana for Maker at 19-1 run 3rd and paid $8 to show. So we would have had 800 right there. So those are the days. You have those days once in a while.
Yeah.
I like that though. The show pool parlay.
Yeah, place and show. We did place and show 10 and 10. Everybody puts in $10. You just keep going around, and when we hit 200 a man, we give it back and then play what's left. So it's a neat way to do it.
All right. So did you get anything out of this, or did you just lose the 20?
No. Well, after my deflating loss with the 200, everybody said that's enough for the parlay. They disbanded.
Were people speaking to you after that? Because you do feel like a fool. You're the only guy that lost. Yeah.
The words they said were not repeatable. No.
I think most people would give you credit for being a very good handicapper, Dave Gurggles Gergely.
Yeah, and I went for a jockey that time, and he came out of the 13, and Santana was out of the 11, and he just had the kind of trip where he couldn't get up, and it was stupid. Don't let the odds influence you on stuff like that.
Well, and Pratt has been on fire, though. So
yeah.
You're assuming he had that day at Aqueduct. This was the last day at Belmont and Aqueduct. He won 7 races and finished second in the other 3.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible. Only we could find a way to lose. On a
no doubt about it.
All right, we're going to get into the trivia challenge here, and it's brought to you by Perdomo Cigars. As always, you can dial us up if you'd like to play at 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. Since Lubie no longer has the affiliation with Landlubbers, we're going to try and dig up some Texas Roadhouse gift certificates.
Good.
And you never want to run out of prizes in this thing. I don't know. Do we have any expired tickets? I think next week we may have to give away 2 tickets to the Thriller in Manila.
Well, either that or I think we've got a office chair from Landy or a palm tree. One of those 2 I think we have available.
There you go.
You had to make a lot of mad scrambles. Did you ever now the palm trees, that was unfortunately turned out to be somewhat of a stiff job, but
right.
Didn't you owe a guy a chair and you were like driving all over the place to try and make accommodations to get it to the guy?
I think I gave him a couple of Perdomo cigars instead with much better value.
All right, let's get right into it because we do have a big agenda today, and of course coming up later on, Ian Eagle, CBS. Is he officially the number 1 guy yet, or is Nance still getting credit for that? Because
I don't know, but his son is terrific as well.
Yeah, no, Eagle, unbelievable. He's doing a lot of stuff.
Really, really, really good guy.
Is he calling all the Notre Dame games? I think so on NBC. Very nice. It's not nepotism either. I mean, the kid's great.
No.
Unbelievable. All right, let's get into it. Dave, going to be firing off the questions, and you can call in 954-417-0070. We're ready to go in honor of the Polyman, who, such a big part of this game and still remains in our thoughts here. He didn't pass away or anything, but he hasn't been with us.
And I don't think we can say that though, because of his contributions, I don't think we'd be correct to say that we're in debt to him. I don't think that's correct. No.
Very few people are in that position. That's reverse logic there. All right, so let's do it. Here's Dave Gurggles Gergely, and we're going to start the game in a somewhat traditional fashion with Dave honoring the Polyman and some
easy baseball. This player on his first day as a member of the Montreal Expos described it thusly: "The place was cold, and I get the feeling the fans would have enjoyed baseball more if it had been played with a hockey puck." What's that? Hall of Famer Andre Dawson, Andre Lacroix, Andre the Giant, or Giant Causeway?
Hey, you want to let Luca roll the scrambler there? Nice job, Luca. Ron, you're up first here on the trivia challenge today. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning, fellas. Let's go with A.
First answer correct. Very good. 1 point going for 2.
Hi, Ron. Golf. Ken Conley, retired firefighter from Cape Cod, Florida, made the first ever hole-in-one at our newly redesigned Miami Lakes golf course on the par 3 7th hole with a 9-iron from 117 yards, earning him a free membership for a year with a value of $10,000.
True.
No, that's Shorty, my buddy from Cape Cod. No. Anyway, be proud of you, Ron.
Has anybody aced a hole yet?
I was driving and the guy knocked it 2 inches away. And he said, "What do I get for hole-in-one?" I said, "You buy me a Macallan 15 neat with a side of water." But no, nobody made one yet.
All right.
3-pointer. All right, Ron. NFL. Who scored the first ever touchdown for the Miami Dolphins during a game played in London? Was that Ronnie Brown, Marty Booker, Cleo Lemon, or Ted Ginn Jr.?
Oh,
God.
No, it
Let's
wasn't John.
go. A.
Says A. I'm going to go Ted Ginn.
Ted Ginn Jr. on a pass from Cleo Brown, even though they lost that game.
Wasn't John Beck, huh?
No, it's not. It was not. It wasn't Dan McGuire either.
Going for 6.
All right, 5-pointer coming up. All right, Ron. Knuckleballer Joe Niekro came to the plate 1,165 times during his 22-year career. And during that time, he hit exactly 1 home run in a game. His Astros won the game 4-3 that day versus the Braves, the Phillies, the Mets, or the Reds.
Braves, Phillies, Mets, or Reds?
Let's go Phillies.
Phillies.
Well, that time you should have said A, the Braves.
Who did he hit it on?
That part I don't know.
That would have been.
By the way, somebody gave me a Sports Illustrated cover from 1964 with Johnny Callison on the cover.
Wow.
That might be worth something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the year they were up 6.5 with 10 to go and lost the pennant. But
Gene Mauch, that was when he fired the spare ribs all over Richie Allen. Right?
And not only that, he alternated bunting short down the stretch to lose those games.
Yeah, I remember that. That was one of the most notable collapses that we've seen in baseball history. And Mauch just exacerbated it by going crazy a number of times after games. All right, Ron bombs out, only ends up with 1 point, but that doesn't necessarily eliminate him from the competition, which is the beauty of this game. You're never out of it. You can dial us up if you'd like to play, 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. We'll get right back into it, Gurgs, and here's the next set of questions.
Boxing. This champ on his relationship with a particular member of the media said, "Sometimes Howard Cosell makes me wish I was a dog and he was a fire plug." What's that? Muhammad Ali, Gene Ali, Back Ali, or Ali the Great?
Oh, you remember Gene Ali? Here's the Renaissance Fiddler, as spun by Luca Panici Lubitz. Why did you put the buttons down there, Lubie? Mike, you're on the trivia challenge. Hello, Mike.
Hey, good morning. Let's go with A.
Another correct answer, and that's 2 for 2 on the first question.
Horse racing, Mike, true or false? Longtime South Florida trainer Doug Sayreville was one of the celebrity harness drivers in this past Tuesday Drive for Veterans Day harness race at Batavia Downs, helping to raise over $100,000 for Vietnam veterans' health care. True or false?
True.
No,
that's false.
Made that up?
No, Doug's a trainer that sits at the bar with us. But
I have to send you a few pictures. I got a little tour. It was almost like going to a museum. I met the former wife of Stanley Dancer.
Oh, wow.
And she invited me in to see to her place to see all of this stuff that she has hanging on the wall, and it was incredible.
Had to be.
Trophy case, pictures, a lot of celebrity photos with Stanley Dancer. Harness racing being much more popular than it is today, was very much in his spotlight. I mean, this guy was on like Johnny Carson. He was on Mike Douglas, all these different shows, pictures with actually the Yankees because of Alan Finkelstein's connection with the Yankees at Park. Very distinguished. I mean, you could not have been a more distinguished guy there in the harness racing industry. But that was a lot of fun. I took some pictures of some of the stuff that was on the wall. I'll send you a couple of those. They were great, including a Leroy Neiman depiction of the guy.
You mean you took photos? You didn't actually take the pictures?
I thought about it. I guess this was the actual trophy from the little brown jug, which was great. Of course, he won 3 Hambletonians, so quite a distinguished career. All right, we have 3-pointer coming up.
Yep, coming up. NFL. Rob Gronkowski is about to sign a 1-day contract with the Patriots. He won the first Super Bowl winning, but he wasn't the first Super Bowl winning Patriot to ink his name on the dotted line for a 1-day contract. Who was? Lawyer Malloy, Mike Vrabel, Lawrence Guy, or Adam Vinatieri?
Wow.
Vinatieri.
No, it was the defensive lineman Lawrence Guy did the same thing, 1-day contract, and retired.
Very nice. Tough questions today, Gerg. So you're baffling everybody. Here's your 5-pointer, a chance at 6.
All right, let's go back to the NFL and the Dolphins. As we mentioned before, they hosted the first ever international series game at Wembley Stadium in London on October 28, 2007. And that day they lost to who? You could be excused for being late. New York Jets, New York Giants, Chicago Bears, or Atlanta Falcons?
Falcons.
New York Giants beat them that day.
0.0, Mr. Blue.
Sorry, Mr. Mike.
Nobody's answered a question correctly after the first one, which we find to be probably about as challenging as the cognitive test is for Donald Trump. They show you a picture of an elephant and a sledgehammer, and they say, which one's an animal? And he manages with a 50-50 chance to get it right. All right, 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. Nobody with a total worthy of being in the finals here, and people are just staggering around on the early edition of the program. Perdomo Cigars, though, that's always a good thing. You talk about lightening up, Gurggles. This is, one of the fine cigars, world-renowned. I remember when they were like number 5 in Aficionado magazine.
Number 1 cigar in Germany they had, and I just picked up a couple of 10th anniversary Churchills and the Robustos last Friday for the golf course, and on Tuesday, even though it was 49 degrees, we did probably over 300 rounds. So I might have to go get some more Perdomo cigars for the golf course today. But you don't have to come to the golf course, although we invite you to, for Perdomo cigars. You can go to 5150 Northwest 167th Street on the Palmetto, a little bit east of the Home Depot on the south side. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Go in and see Bruce there, a retired police officer who's now the concierge. He knows all about Perdomo cigars. They make them perfect one at a time, and they just had the 4th generation. Nick the 4th is going to be there, not Nick 3rd. I mean, little Nicky, and they make great cigars. So, what do you got coming up? Well, you got Thanksgiving. You're going to somebody's house for Thanksgiving. Bring them a box of Perdomo cigars, or the holidays, or just treat yourself. So today, tomorrow, whatever. When the Dolphins win 21-10 over in Spain, España, put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars. What famous line did James Coburn say, España?
España.
And what movie?
What movie? No idea. Rooster Cogburn.
No, The Great Escape.
Great Escape. I love that.
He was on that. He had on a bicycle, and there's this guy, España. Yeah. Great movie.
Great Escape was a terrific movie.
Terrific.
It was. I mean, it was up there with Easy Rider and those kind of films where just a lasting impression.
That's another great trivia question. Who's the only person to be in The Dirty Dozen, The Great Escape, and The Magnificent Seven?
James Coburn.
Charles Bronson.
Bronson. Oh, wow.
The Tough Danny, the Tunnel Man.
He was great in The Vigilante. Fantastic.
Yes.
All right. Let's go right into it here, and this will be our final contestant, and then we're going to take a break and come back with the final. So here we go.
All right. NBA. This Hall of Fame coach, on a request to his GM, said, I told Zoli Volchek, the Sonics general manager, we need an ultrasound machine. And he asked me, why do we need music in the locker room? Lenny Wilkins, Lenny Dykstra, Lenny Bruce, or Lenny of the Chronics, we miss you.
And may he rest in peace, the great Lenny Wilkins. All right, always a pleasure. We like this. It's kind of like getting a check-in. Are you in or out, Andy? In or out? That's the question of the day. In or out of the hospital?
I'm out.
He's out.
I hurt my back, but I'm out. Yep.
You've been on a run lately. It's been a while. Did your timeshare expire at Boca West?
I hope so.
You sold it.
You sold it. Yeah.
Sold it to him.
There's like a work stoppage over there. I'm afraid to go.
Yeah.
I'm doing the late great Lenny Wilkins.
Very nice.
Yep, you got it. Sticking with the NBA, true or false, Andy? Believe it or not, during Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game in Hershey, Pennsylvania, former Philadelphia player York Larisi, later of the Allentown Jets, was benched for shooting instead of passing the ball to Wilt. True or false?
Oh.
I never heard that, but you've had 2 falses already, so I'll go true.
Well deducted, yes.
Sniff it out.
Parisi, yep. I saw him play the Allentown Jets, but he passed.
Were you at that game? Were you at the Wilt 100-point game?
No, I was not. I
have a funny feeling you were there. You always have a lot of references to it, which is great. Who was the second leading scorer on the Knicks? That's a good question.
Al Attles was 8 for 8 from the field, 1 for 1 from the free throw line for 17 points.
I knew I couldn't get that by you. I would have had no idea. You could have said anything. All right, going for what are we looking at here? Going for 5.
It's a 3-point question.
Live for the sweep.
Baseball, Andy. On this date in sports history, Bob Gibson won the 1968 National League MVP award. Who finished second? Was it Juan Marichal, Orlando Cepeda, Johnny Callison, or Pete Rose?
Cepeda.
No, incorrect.
Another dear departed friend, Pete Rose, as a matter of fact, finished second.
Chance at 7 and a spot, obviously, in the finals, which I think you're already guaranteed here, Andy.
I'm already a lock, bro. That's
yeah.
Why.
All right. So let's give you one that you would love. Soccer. In 2017, Italy failed to qualify for the 2018 Football World Cup, the first time since 1958, after a playoff defeat versus Germany, Colombia, Sweden, or Hungary.
Germany.
It was
correct.
Sweden, as a matter of fact.
High degree of questions. Yeah, unbelievable job. All right, stay there, Andy. You're going to be in the finals here, and we're going to have a spin-off between Ron and Mike to see who your opponent is while we're putting that together. And I believe Lubie finishes burping young Luca Lucas. Is that a first? No, that's the first. We had a great burp a baby by one of the cast members. So we'll be back with the finals of the Trivia Challenge. Ian Eagle coming up later on in a moment. Now that.
Time.
8:38.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently,
Joe Bees. The bees collect the pollen, bring it to Joe, he packages it, and he gets it to you. It's simple, 100% natural, and it's good for you.
There's only one place to get Joe Bees, and that's from me. Joe Bee.
If you want to look and feel good, call 877-300-5632.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante. Belmont's now a mile and an 8. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici, just switch the stick.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
Term non-menacing in horse racing is always a negative when applied to the horse that you bet on. And Luca was a non-menacing 6th, I believe, possibly out of 7 or 8 in that Belmont Stakes. That was unfortunate. The great Luca Panici, who was the inspiration for the name of Lubie's baby. I don't think he would have named him Luca.
Definitely.
Your association and friendship with the great Luca Panici.
100%.
Yes. We owe him that. All right, we're set for the finals here. Andy and Mike going to go at it. And here's what's going to happen. You guys know the rules. And one bite. That's it. It's Portnoy time. No, Dave's going to fire off a question. Call out your name if you want to answer right away. Nobody does that. I'll offer multiple choice. First person to call out his name gets first chance. We go back and forth until we have a winner. There's strategy involved. There's knowledge involved. There's all kinds of intrigue. So here we go. For the championship, this week's edition of the Trivia Challenge. And by the way, Jim Sarney, obviously, like Donald Trump, has never been to a grocery store because he's suggesting we give away a turkey. Since we don't have the Landlubbers Prize gift certificate anymore. But, wow, we would, maybe a slice? That would be about it. Is about all the people could possibly afford. We'd be going broke within a week if we were giving away turkeys every week here on the show. But what do we look like, Don King here? All right, so here we go for the championship of this week's edition of the Trivia Challenge. Dave Gurggles Gergely.
Good luck, guys. This is my favorite question of the day. This date in history, in 1984, this player became the first NHL player to score a goal in 4 periods of a game. That includes overtime.
Okay. I lost Lubie there. Here are the choices.
Was it Wayne Gretzky, Bernie Nichols, Gary Unger, or Marty McSorley?
Goal in every period. Anybody?
Andy, I'll go with Nichols.
Nichols.
That's right.
Baby.
Bernie Nichols of the LA Kings.
A hard-earned, low-scoring victory by
Wow,
Andy.
well done by Andy.
I bet that game. I had the Kings laying a goal and a half. I remember.
That might save us a gift certificate or two. We'll search for you anyway. All right, very good, Andy. Congratulations. Good to hear from you as always, and congratulations to all of our players. Gurggles, one more word about Perdomo cigars before you make your way.
Yeah, I'm going out on the course right now. There'll be several people smoking Perdomo cigars, and you can come to our golf course and get one. And the course is terrific. Or you can go right to 5150 Northwest 167th Street, right on the Palmetto on the south side, a little bit east of Home Depot. 305-627-6700, the number to call. And maybe you can't make it today or tomorrow. They're closed on the weekends, but any cigar tobacconist worth their salt will have Perdomo cigars. Just go online, perdomocigars.com, to find these great cigars. So Sunday morning, maybe you want to light one up after the Dolphins take care of Washington 21-10. Put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars. Have a great rest of the show with Ian Eagle.
All right. Thanks very much. Dave Gurggles Gergely, ladies and gentlemen. All right. The trivia challenge for this week. Interesting competition as always. Ian Eagle is going to join us a little after 9 o'clock today, so we'll be sticking with you for a little while after our normal departure time here on the program. A couple of things going on. You did have some awards going on. They have the general managers' winter meetings going on. And is that... No, I don't know. That wouldn't be the winter meetings. I guess it's general managers meetings. They have a lot of meetings in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I was going to say the winter meetings usually are what, like right
They're in the winter,
January, February, something like that.
Something like that. I remember being all excited when I first started covering sports here in South Florida, and the winter meetings were here.
Yeah, it'd be here.
They were in Fort Lauderdale, I believe, and I couldn't have been more excited than to cover what was going on at the time because I was a huge baseball fan. A couple of issues happening. They're handing out awards as part of, in conjunction with these general managers meetings. Tariq Skubal, no surprise, wins back-to-back Cy Young Awards. Record wasn't all that mind-boggling. 13-7, I think he went. They got no run support this year, had an earned run average that was well below 3. I think it was like 2 point, what was it? In the low 2s. Of course, huge with strikeouts. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. 2.21 earned run average for Tariq Skubal and then Paul Skeens. No surprise. Here's a trivia question for you, Lubie. Paul Skeens of the Pittsburgh Pirates, which I think the Pirates have 4 more years of control on Paul Skeens, and they're vowing to keep him. They don't give any indication that they want to trade him. I would imagine every other team would want to make an offer for Paul Skeens. Lights-out pitcher, of course, dominated that college baseball World Series with LSU, and you thought, this guy's going straight to the pros. Why isn't he a pro now? He might have been making a ton of money there at LSU. They do put some money into their baseball program. I'm sure they've laid out some NIL for their baseball team, which they take a lot of they put a lot of emphasis on. Skip Bertman, is he still around there? I don't know. Let me ask Luca if Skip Bertman is still involved with LSU athletics. Is he like an athletic director? I don't think he's the athletic director.
I don't even know that name.
So he's a longtime assistant for Ron Frazier here, and then became the head coach at LSU. And their program was already good, I guess, but he really furthered it and continued to perpetuate and even increase the level of efficiency they had.
He's currently 87, so he's alive still.
Wow.
But I don't think he's actively
87.
He's 2001. So
he's lucky if he can break open a bag of peanuts at 87. So anyway, he was always a very well-respected guy. But Skeens at LSU, and then you thought he was going to go right to the pros. He wasn't even a year in the minors. He came up, looked like he was going to be lights out in the major leagues, as one would anticipate with the kind of stuff he has. And he becomes the first since whom, Lubie, to win Rookie of the Year in his first season, obviously, and follow that with a Cy Young Award in his second year. Last guy to do it was...
For some reason, it was good. Okay, I was going to say, I know Hideo Nomo won the Rookie of the Year and like challenged for Cy Young, but I couldn't remember.
Nice
Doc Gooden. Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that.
So what was Gooden? He was in the 80s?
80s, yeah, early to mid 80s.
Wow. So that goes back a long way. Quite a distinction there for Paul Skeens, who clearly it's well-deserved. The guy's been just amazing, but got no run support this year, and so his one-loss record wasn't anything special. But Rookie of the Year, the first year he was in the bigs, could have just as easily, I guess he could have qualified. Was he a Cy Young contender last year? I'm not sure. And wins the Cy Young Award this year, which those were two gimmies, weren't they? If you were a betting man, you probably couldn't even get down a bet on something like that once they got to the conclusion of the season. Big today, though, will be the decision we've been waiting for here. We had some debates about this during the course of the regular season, late in the year. AL MVP. And the competitions between Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh. Cal Raleigh, of course, eclipsed 60 home runs this year and led the major leagues in home runs. Catcher, he didn't have a pass ball until they got into the postseason.
That's crazy.
So he was outstanding defensively. Here's the numerology on this, Lubie, and you're going to laugh at me because I'm coming to batting average as being the distinction. Judge wins the batting title, and he wins it in a runaway with the highest batting average in the majors at 331. So that's first in the American League. You know what really strikes me odd? And I know Sarni's going to get upset that I even mention this because he thinks batting average is a meaningless stat, which I refuse to go away from the idea that I think it's the ultimate barometer of a hitter. Are you making contact and getting on base? Now, you could argue, okay, look at Kyle Schwarber. Would you rather have his 56 home runs or a bunch of base hits? Now, even his average spiked this year. I think he hit somewhere 240 or something like that, maybe 250. Yeah,
I think it was like around the 250s.
Yeah, many years. You're looking at the guy who's got 50 home runs and a 187 batting average with a zillion strikeouts. So he was more efficient. He gets a lot of walks, Schwarber, and as a free agent, I'm sure he's going to command a pretty hefty payroll deduction by whatever team signs him. Raleigh hit 247 while banging out his 60 home runs. But what's weird, Lubie, 247 was 44th in the league. Doesn't that seem odd?
Yes, it's a little high.
247? I spent my entire life thinking that in spite of his greatness as a defensive player, underrated completely, that Clete Boyer was somewhat of a liability for the Yankees, hitting 8th before the pitcher because he only batted 250 as a matter of routine. It was a disgrace.
Yeah.
Now this guy's 247 is 44th in the league, but pales in comparison. I mean, think about that. You're looking at 53 plus 31, like 80 points lower than Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Batting average.
Yeah. So look, it's the fact that he's so good defensively, and Judge, you don't really talk about defensively at all. And a lot of the times Judge may not even play defense. It's hard to not give Raleigh that credit. But at the plate, Judge is nuts. I mean, like the fact that he hits that high of an average these days for the kind of player he is it's impressive. And it's sort of sad that Raleigh doesn't hit it, at least in the 300s.
I don't know that you're expecting him to hit 300, but and look, obviously there's no disgrace anymore hitting 247 with 60 home runs. Would you tell Cal Raleigh to take a walk if he said, I want to play for your team? No, of course not.
No. He's great.
The standards have been lowered, which is the unfortunate thing in this particular category. So Judge with his 331 leading the league in batting average while still banging out 53 home runs. And he did spend part of the latter part of the season unable to play there after he injured his elbow. So he could have been in contention to maybe hit 60 this year. Raleigh had more RBIs, 125 to 114. Raleigh scored less runs. Judge had 137 runs, first in the American League. And Raleigh actually stole 14 bases, believe it or not. So I think Judge deserves it. I don't know. What do you think, Lubie? Who are you going to give?
Because of Raleigh flirted with the AL record, because Raleigh is a full-time catcher and an elite full-time catcher, I would lean, and then the Mariners had better success.
Yes.
I would lean Raleigh, but again, I don't know. Like the New York, the Yankee lore, Judge just continues to do it every year. I mean, in other sports, we would go for the new story, so it would be Raleigh. Baseball, I don't know. I don't know if they want the new story or if they just want the guy that has been elite for years.
Judge is going for his third MVP. This is kind of like Shaq syndrome, though, isn't it? Where you're looking like who is more valuable. If you took Shaq out of the lineup of those Laker teams, are they anywhere near as good in spite of Kobe's brilliance? No. When Steve Nash was winning these MVP awards, did he win two? He didn't win them back to back, did he, Steve Nash?
I think
he won two. I mean, Shaq still hasn't gotten over it, even though he tends to have open mind about these sort of things and a sense of humor about it. So anyway, that decision's coming down today. I think it's going to go to Judge. So the way that I've been shooting blanks like Secretariat, unbelievable. I'm going to go, or like Cigar. I guess Secretariat did throw a few decent horses, but Cigar was the one that couldn't. Could Cigar not get it up? Did he have erectile dysfunction?
I don't know. I've never
that
heard
exists in horses. Imagine that they're having a shovel Viagra into this horse's head. He just buying the 40 mares they were bringing to him every day. All right, so and we often talk about this, the Cristobal factor, and it is universal, Lubie. Here's a mention here, handicapping Howie Kasori, who used to be great at handicapping college football and has since fallen on hard times. His record this year is 73-92 in the New York Post handicapping college football against the spread.
It's been tough this year. I mean,
he's got NC State getting 14.5 over Miami. The logic reads like this: never lay multiple touchdowns with a guy, in parentheses, Mario Cristobal, who has more losses as a double-digit favorite, 5, than any other head coach in the country in the past 3 years. Well, I don't know how many coaches have been in that situation. I guess, look, Ohio State, some of the heavyweights, those coaches.
Yeah, the good teams. Again, Miami finds themselves in that group of good teams, but the good teams win those games, and Miami loses them quite often, which is why they're not really in that group.
So there it is, Howie Kasori, who is, like I said, he's firing blanks like I have been, and he's thinking that the Cristobal factor is enough to go ahead and influence you to take the 14.5 with NC State, based on the fact that not only does Cristobal lose to the point spreads, which he did last week, 28 and a hook. That was a very generous allotment. Look, that can happen. I don't know that I blame a coach in a situation.
Yeah, I mean, you let up or whatever. You have backup.
You're up 4 touchdowns. Are you worried about the poor schmuck that laid 28.5? I don't think so.
No.
Imagine a call comes from the sidelines there from Radakovich, the AD, and says, many of our backers laid the 28 and a hook, Mario.
Yeah, exactly. He's pushing them. Come on, bud.
About another story, you asshole. No? You don't think that discussion has ever been accomplished or put forth there by Radakovich? I'm not sure. But if you're laying 28.5, you're probably a fool anyway. It would be either take the points or stay out of the game. And so I don't know if we can blame him for that. But, 5 times losing as a double-digit favorite over the last 3 years.
I thought it was 6. Okay.
Pretty amazing.
I thought it was 6. I thought they'd done it 6 times that they had lost in his Miami tenure while being a double-digit favorite, which seemed, again, like
How do you take these games, man?
And I think it's going to – I mean, this weekend, they're right for it again. I think NC State is – and the kind of team that gives them trouble. NC State has a nice quarterback that's a dual threat, and NC State plays solid defense, and NC State's coached well, where they don't make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And those are the things that tend to give Miami trouble, and they are, once again, a double-digit favorite.
Remember the outrage, too, Louis? This struck me. I've been watching a lot of tennis on a tennis channel. They've had some really interesting tournaments. And this, I don't know. Remember when golf would have these tournaments at the end of the year and it'd be called a silly season?
Yes.
Where they were, having all kinds of hybrid versions, and they had the skins game and all this different stuff, and they had Tiger hitting the ball in some Arizona desert at night.
Yeah.
While David Duval was trying to prove that he actually was a legitimate rival, and he would completely spiral out of control and fall apart at the seams, get smoked in these various hybrid competitions. Tennis has some very interesting tournaments, but the outrage that was expressed when the Live Tour was first formulated, and you can also ask yourself a follow-up question on that. What exactly goes on with the Live Tour? Does anybody really talk? For all the money that they doled out, how is it possibly profitable for the Live Tour? They have a television contract. Did they finally sign a contract with like any kind of even fringe network? I'm not sure.
I've never seen it on TV, so I don't know. I know they did something CW or some schminky network.
CW, they're going for a while.
But
go ahead.
I've never seen them on a regular network, and I never see any networks talk about them. I never see them in like you hear PGA events, you hear they talk about Rory, they'll talk about whatever. Spieth, you don't hear them talk about those guys when they're doing the majors. They'll talk, but they don't talk about their actual tournament. So I forgot it even exists. It sort of just went away.
Seems that way, doesn't it? But the key word there, everybody was spouting was sports washing, that this is despicable because they're trying to just erase the idea
100%.
that the Saudis are a bunch of, I don't know how to characterize it, inhumane treatment of people.
That's definitely a word.
Negative. I mean, they're executing gay people.
They murder people. It's known that
wear
they don't
masks.
hide it. They don't hide that they murder people.
Put people to work on construction jobs from other countries that come in there. They don't care if like 40 of them die. And we're supposed to look at it and go, hey, la-di-da, look at that. Brooks Koepka birdied the 13th hole.
Exactly.
But there's no similar outrage expressed. They just had a tournament. The women were involved, and it was very exciting. This was where Sabalenka ended up losing in the final to Rybakina. And they had all of the top players in there, and they had and they have another one going on for the men now in Italy, where they have a round robin format of top guys, and then whoever survives it's kind of like a soccer tournament where you survive the preliminaries, and then you get into the so-called knockout round.
Yeah,
and it's been great. I mean, really good stuff. But the money that was being doled out, I think, just for showing up, like. These ladies were getting several $1 million just to show up, even if they lost their 2 matches and went home.
Wow.
In the preliminary round. But not much being said about that. Have we just come to accept it? We accepted it in horse racing. Nobody made any noise about the whole sports washing thing.
When they went over there at the beginning, I know that people sort of got weird, but it didn't become like a big deal.
Boxing is all over it, right?
It was just the golf. The golf was in big introduction. We got mad, and then the Saudis are like, okay, now we can go all in. They're buying professional teams. They're bringing it over there. They're doing it here. Like, yeah, they've gone all in.
Where's the outrage?
It's gone. It's done. We got mad once. Now we don't care anymore. We've moved on.
To get that drop from Tony Bruno, our good friend Tony Bruno. It's an outrage.
Yeah, exactly.
But nobody seems to care anymore, and it's all smiles and la-di-da. It's like they're playing at Wimbledon, which you're watching people leave the court thinking, okay, Jessica Pegula lost, but she just made $3 million, more than she would in any tournament. Sports websites cover the Live Tour, according to Sarni. They play 72 holes next season. Yeah, okay, so more Live Tour golf there after they had knocked it down to 54. All right, Ian Eagle going to join us here shortly on the program, and maybe sooner than later, either that or Lubie is taking a cancellation call, which we certainly hope that's not the case, as we'll get into both the NBA and the NFL with the great Ian Eagle, as this guy, he's always been brilliant, but now getting some serious competition, as Lubie mentioned, from young Noah Eagle, who's doing a great job on everything that he's performing on. I'm assuming that we have this gentleman with us on the show, Mike Lubitz. Excellent. Okay. Bucks and Bills this week. Wow, that's a tough game. I don't know if we can extract an opinion there against the point spread. I'm not sure if Ian, is he wearing a DraftKings shirt while he's doing these? Roger Goodell is. Ian, how are you, my friend? Good to have you on the program. Thanks so much for doing this.
Hey, what's up, Defo and Lubie?
Hi,
How
man.
we doing?
Good morning, my friend.
We couldn't be better. All right, we have to start here because this happened right here in our hometown. A bit of a shocker. Just when you thought, and I saw some power rankings that were being speculated upon by various handicappers, not sports betting handicappers necessarily, but just guys that were saying, hey, who's the best in the NFL? A few of these lists had the Buffalo Bills coming into this game against the Dolphins, having righted the ship after their 2-game losing streak, came back with a couple of very, very convincing wins. And you thought, wow, they might be the best team in football right now. Josh Allen playing great. They come to town and they lay an egg. But in your lifetime, I mean, could you have imagined, we've been asking this question, could you ever have imagined Don Shula, who had been smoked by Lofton and Reed and Thurman Thomas, and he watched Louis Oliver's head spinning like Linda Blair in The Exorcist as he was trying to follow these wide receivers that were just rolling right up the field against him. If he finally won a game against the Buffalo Bills, which it had been a long time since the Dolphins had won a regular season game against them, could you picture Shula jumping in his car and maybe having Dorothy drive him by the Elbow Room in Fort Lauderdale to troll a bunch of slovenly, drunk, bowling shoes wearing Buffalo Bills fans after the game? I mean, did you believe that picture to be real with Mike McDaniel? Because he had a very Trumpian-like casual denial about whether or not it was him or AI.
Yeah, it felt very real to me just watching it. And it also felt very 2025. That's where we are. That's where art imitates life, internet imitates reality. The two worlds form a very gray area where we don't know what's real, what's not. Things that you're willing to say on the internet that you would not be willing to say in real life.
Yep.
It's a new frontier, guys, and you guys have to maybe get ready for it. This is the world now. This is it.
We've already been buried, Ian, by our regular performance has found us in a rough spot. You think that'll have to be a new course at Newhouse for young Syracuse aspiring broadcasters, that they'll have to take a course in what kind of decorum to use on the internet and social media?
No, it is a course.
Oh, yeah?
It's not going to be a course. Yeah, it's happening as we speak. This is how the world has worked, where you've got to be on top of this stuff, and you have 8 seconds to vet it. You can't take too much time. We're just in one large game show. Real or not real?
Have you had any of these moments? I mean, you really understand the whole element of being a professional. Have you said anything at any time during a broadcast, and you like to pop references where after you said it, you thought, kind of like whenever I'm talking to a woman, you thought, oh, she's going to badly misinterpret that. Did you ever want to take one back in the time that you've been broadcasting?
No. I'm batting 1,000, but that's not fair to use me as the model.
True. That's true.
No.
I do still have some form of standards in my brain of being on the air, filling 3 hours, and not just going to a place that was wild speculation on the internet. So maybe that's just old school mentality, but I do separate what we're doing on the air from what's happening the other days of the week when you're on your phone and you're sharing things with others and you're part of group chats. I don't let the two worlds collide, because I do know there is a responsibility, in all seriousness. If you say it on television, it does bring a bit more breadth to what you're doing. And if you're putting your name on it, you better be comfortable with the ramifications that come with it. So I do separate those two worlds, and I think you have to, because right now the way things are setting up in our business, because the lines have blurred, you better take that part of your career seriously, or you could be facing a litany of unfortunate ramifications that come your way because you're just trying to be cute or funny or flip. It's not going to work.
So we're unlikely to see Ian Eagle running wind sprints in the corridor of some hotel on a cold, late night in Indianapolis and picking a fight with a truck driver who happened to be blocking your chance to go ahead and prove your car loose.
Yeah, that is.
You got to stay out of that one. We're not even going to put you in that spot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
No.
Here we are talking about like ruining your career, and we lead you right into one where
but he's
walked into a right hand from Tommy Hearns. So Lubie's got something legit.
I was going to say, Ian's done a good job for years now of evading your and our questions and comments and just keeping it moving. So I give him credit for that, and he keeps coming on. So I guess we haven't gotten him in too much trouble perhaps just yet. We'll see what unfolds over the years. So
I got a question from Caroline Levin here, a text. She says, "What kind of question is that?" So I'm sorry, Ian. My apology.
So we got the league at large. Defo brought up the Bills, and they were the number one team last week, and now who knows where they are.
Yeah.
It's so funny because we're trying to do this with college football too. And after Ohio State, it's like who fits where. Like in the NFL, the Ravens with Lamar Jackson feel like maybe they're on the come, and the Bills are still the Bills, and the Chiefs look like they were waking up until last week. Like when you look at the league, because Defo keeps asking me who's going to be in the Super Bowl, and he's doing it jokingly. I really have no answer. Like by now, you usually have the teams you're picking, and they may or may not make it. I don't like where it stands right now. There's no two clear-cut teams that are rising to me above everyone else. Like when you look at it, when you're around it, what are you seeing where we are at the NFL so far?
I would agree. I'd say normally this time of year, you have a pretty good sense of the directions you're leaning in. And this year in particular, you're going to have to slide your scale a bit because right now in the NFC, the Rams and the Seahawks have looked like the most consistent teams. And that's not what anybody would have predicted. And I'm not sure 2 weeks ago anybody would have said that. Philadelphia still would have been the first team that you mentioned as a possible Super Bowl contender coming out of the NFC. AFC, it's been changing every week. I think in many ways, Buffalo, because there are a lot of people in the NFL that recognize what a storyline that would be for Buffalo to finally go on a run, to have this generational quarterback and maybe put an end to what has been a franchise long drought on the precipice of championship level teams, but never getting over the hump. So there is something, there's the humanity of it that maybe this is the year, but they're yet to show it on a consistent basis. And the troubling part for Buffalo, injuries that have piled up, and the fact that the offense, while the numbers might tell you they're really dynamic, their rushing offensive numbers are through the roof. They're number one in the NFL. But I don't necessarily look at their passing game and say, man, they've got weapon after weapon after weapon. And that's where you still feel like Kansas City is going to be a major factor in all this. I've had Indianapolis a couple of times. Man, they're fun. It's amazing what they've done, the transformation. They've done it basically with the same core that was more or less a 500 team each of the last 2 years under Shane Steichen. But now the relationship between Steichen and Daniel Jones, the fact that they really have taken a huge step offensively where they just seem to be in control and have command. But they're also vulnerable. They're not world beaters by any stretch. And they do lean on Jonathan Taylor, who to me has been the MVP up until this point. And you stop him, you may stop them. So it's a tough one. I think that's great. I don't think it's a bad thing in the NFL when you hit week 10, week 11, week 12, and you still have legitimate question marks. It's just, it's not normal. We normally have a very good feel at this point who the 2 or 3 serious contenders are going to be. And you just don't have that same feeling this year.
Ian Eagle guessing with us here on the show. Always a pleasure having him on. As we've said throughout the years, just amazing that he would even risk the distinction that he's created in his career and the image he's created for himself by coming on a program like this. But that being said, I mean, talk about being dead wrong. My implication was that the hiring of Mike Vrabel and the pursuit of Mike Vrabel before the season was just highly overrated. I thought, okay, the guy did a decent job at Tennessee, and then they fell on some hard times. Was out of being a head coach there for a couple of seasons. And everybody was coveting and talking about, oh, man, you got to get Mike Vrabel. In fact, there was even some sense that maybe the Dolphins should get rid of Mike McDaniel, which I guess there is still some sense of that, and should have pursued Mike Vrabel. I just didn't see him as a second coming of Lombardi. So what in your estimation has he been able to do? I mean, obviously, Drake May's a story there, and his progress being the best of the quarterbacks coming out of his draft class in his second season, and he showed promise as a rookie when they won 4 games. But as Lombardi would have said, what the hell is going on out there? How is Vrabel able to implement this remarkable turnaround? And one of our big Patriot fans on the chat line wants to know from you, a legitimate source, is this something that we can picture as being for real?
Yeah, so the first part, I would tell you the most underrated part of being a head coach in the NFL that is hard for any fan and sometimes media members to truly understand or get a real handle on is the interaction between head coach and players. Can you speak the truth in the locker room, at team meetings, and Mondays after a loss? And can you do it while still maintaining the respect of your players? So it's one thing to point out their mistakes. It's another thing to have a shoulder for them to lean on when things aren't going great. It's another to celebrate with them and do it in a manner where you're still seen as the head coach, but you're also accepted as one of the guys. And I think Mike Vrabel checks all those boxes. And that's not a simple thing to do. It probably means you have to be a former player of some consequence. And then you've got to have this other variable where you can talk to them on a level where the respect is always there, but you can say what you need to say. But at the end of the day, there's still a real relationship, and it's not just coach-player. It goes beyond that. So I think that's the part that no one is ever going to know because we're not in there. We're not in the locker room. I can gather a little bit just from production meetings and talking to people, and I do think that Vrabel has that. There's a presence that he brings, and it's not simple. You can't just write down the attributes on a piece of paper and tell a coach, just be this. It's part of your being. It's part of your persona. And he's got it. He's got that. He had it in Tennessee. He has it again in New England. He has absolutely extracted all the best possible things out of this team at this stage of the year. Let's go to the second part. Are they for real? Well, they got a franchise quarterback who everybody in that locker room loves and believes in. That's a huge, huge part of this equation. And now I think they have a belief. They've done it, obviously, against the AFC South. Or NFC South, I should say. They've controlled all of those matchups. They now have a 1.5-game lead over the Buffalo Bills, a team that has won the division 6 straight years. So in the aftermath of New England dominating the AFC East, the Bills have dominated the AFC East, and now maybe the pendulum swings the other way. Look, I don't think they're a finished product by any stretch, and it's a really tremendous story if you think about it, where they were a year ago to where they are today. But I do think they're in the mix, and I do think now there's stability back in the organization. So, yes, Robert Kraft made the right move at the right time, and they're now reaping the benefits of it. So, once again, if you're a Miami Dolphin fan, you're looking at the rest of the division, other than the Jets, and saying, how did this happen again?
Yeah, you had to rub a little, just salt in the wound there. We've been trying to figure out what the hell was going on out there with the Dolphins for seems like forever. Lubie's got one for you.
That's what I was going to. It's funny. I was going to bring up. You bring up the Patriots, an organization that was also ran until the 2000s and then became the gold standard of the NFL. The Dolphins and Giants were the opposite. The Dolphins and Giants for years were the gold standard. The Giants did that a lot longer than the Dolphins. The Dolphins have been on hard times for 2 decades. Giants have been on hard times for about 5 to 6 years. But it felt like both were turning a corner, right? Hire Mike McDaniel, hire Brian Daboll a couple years ago. Guys seemed like the right fit, the right men for the position, what Mike Vrabel is now for the Patriots. 4 years later, both one is out, the other is driving by the elbow room, mocking fans, or fictitiously doing it and not denying it, which isn't better. One franchise got rid of the GM but kept the coach. The other got rid of the coach but kept the GM. I've never been a fan of doing either of those things. To me, you keep both or get rid of both. What do you see with both of those franchises? Is Joe Shane really going to stay with the Giants? And are the Dolphins really going to keep Mike McDaniel? Like, what do you see with those two franchises as we get to the offseason?
Yeah, with the Giants, if I were going to speculate on what this is going to look like in the future, no, I wouldn't tell you that Joe Shane's job is secure and he's good to go. He can refinance his mortgage tomorrow. He'll be
He's there for
the
the
Jersey area. There's a very good chance that they end up cleaning house and trying to figure out what the next iteration of the team is going to be. But we never quite know the inner dynamics of GM owner relationships because it is different, and it's different than the coach-owner relationship. You can look at wins and losses, you can look at decisions, strategy, X's and O's, how the locker room is, and you can form opinions on the head coach. On the GM, it's very different because you don't know in the draft room if, in certain cases, owners are pushing hard for a particular player and they have final say, and the GM might have the perfect draft board, but we never know if they got to pick the players that they wanted to pick. I think in this particular case, they look at their talent and they say, we should be better than what the record indicates. And that's probably why Shane survives for now. And you also don't know replacements. They feel comfortable enough about Kafka to take over for Brian Daboll. I don't know if you fire the GM at week 10, do you have someone that can handle the day-to-day operation of the GM within your organization? That takes a deeper dive. Yeah, the Miami thing, you guys obviously are living it on a daily basis. Every time I've met with Mike McDaniel, he's really interesting. There's no doubt that he's creative, that he looks at this from a different angle and sees it through a different lens. And it has been effective. And I think his creativity has shown in previous seasons. The problem is right now, it feels like they're in a rut. It feels like they've hit a standstill, that they're not evolving. So whether that's McDaniel, Tua, that marriage, if that needs broken up and have to go in a different direction, does that mean the head coach leaves? Does that mean the quarterback leaves? It just feels like they've gone as far as they can go, those two together. And that's the tough part about running a franchise. The timing, obviously, when the contract is up, you pay Tua all that money because they didn't have an alternative. And you really do hope that they live up to these deals. But the quarterback position, as we know, if they don't, it can set your franchise back, not a year, it could set it back 5 years. Yeah. It's really hard to find that guy. The great part about the NFL is you can improve year to year to year. We've seen that. We've seen teams go every year, worst to first. You get these outliers that happen in the NFL. The problem and the challenge is sustaining it based on strength of schedule, based on injuries, based on free agency, based on a really good draft class. The NFL is its own entity. It really is so different than the other three sports because you have factors every year that could contribute to you being a surprise team that came out of nowhere and flip it the other way. Factors that could make you a team that now is looking around, shaking your head saying, I don't know what happened here. And, unfortunately for Miami, that's the area that they've found themselves in now the last couple of seasons.
The fans are resorting to all kinds of bizarre rationales, including is there any way we can revive going back to the Orange Bowl and get that advantage back again. One last thing, you're always very generous with your time. We wanted to get in some NBA. There's some more NFL stuff, obviously, we could talk about. But did you find in those production meetings that Mike McDaniel has gone sort of from Mike McGenius to some sort of, I guess, facsimile of Professor Irwin Corey in his responses?
Yes, the word salad type of thing that you're alluding to. Yeah,
we were just trying to figure out how Stephen Ross was sitting across the table from this guy, and he was answering questions like that, and he said, "Yeah, Garfinkel, get in here with all the contractual stuff where we're going to sign this guy right now."
Yeah, it's all timing on the production meetings too, of when you get the team. If they're coming off 3 straight wins, the tenor of your meeting is very different than the team riding a 4-game losing streak. And I just happened to have them a couple of times where it was the back end of some misfortune. And it was very different, obviously, from when I had met with him previously and the team was winning and surprising people. And he was the talk of the NFL, that he brought just a new view of how to do this job. So it's a really interesting concept of where we are today in modern football, of what the head coach is supposed to look like, what the head coach is supposed to act like, what the head coach is supposed to do when they face adversity. There's no handbook for this. You could look at previous situations and try to mirror what others have done. It doesn't matter. You got to win. That's the bottom line. You can weather the storm, but ultimately you're going to get judged on your wins and losses. It's pretty simple. The fact of the matter is personalities do come into play, and then the human dynamic does play a role of relationship between owner and head coach, and a contract situation, and who said what at a big meeting back 3 years ago when somebody went on record saying we should do this or we should do this, and they didn't. And now they have that in their back pocket forever, saying, hey, if you remember, I was the one that said we should do this, and we didn't do it. So it's really very intriguing how these things play out. And in the case that you just asked about the Giants and the Dolphins, these are proud franchises, the history of winning. And it's hard, I think, as a fan base when you start banging your head against the wall saying, is this ever going to change?
I think, too, it's like the pink Converse All-Star syndrome, where if you're going to wear the pink cons to the basketball courts, you better be good.
Yeah.
If you're going to wear those silly pads, you better be Sean McVay. That's our conclusion on the whole thing. Kind of summarizes the whole situation. Ian, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for being with us. And we hope to talk again soon, because we want to dabble in some NBA next time. But always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Always love talking to you. Just one plug. I do have Heat Knicks tomorrow night on Amazon Prime. So check that out with the man Stan Van Gundy as my analyst, Cassidy Hubbard, sideline reporter.
We kind of discovered Stan back in the day. He used to come into I had a 4-hour Sunday radio show on WIOD, and Stan was like a third assistant with the Miami Heat, and desperate for a guest, naturally, to fill 4 hours of radio time when nobody was listening. I started having Stan come on the show, and he turned out to be brilliant. And look,
he's brilliant.
He's evolved into one of the great commentators in the game. Thanks, Ian. Always a pleasure, my friend. Always
see you guys.
Thanks, Ian Eagle, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we ran a little into the muck here. I know you have babies to attend to, Lubie, and all kinds of stuff. So we will say thank you so much for tuning in. Our thanks to Dave Gurggles Gergely, Ian Eagle, for joining us on the show with the professor. And we'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
9:25.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they got.